In chapter 5, you talked about the examination. All the evidence in the world will not suffice to lead anyone to faith in Jesus Christ as Lord and Son of God. So the question is, on one level, you're sitting there proving that there's evidence for these things. In fact, you talk about the evidence for miracles. I want to ask you why you think that's important. But if you have all this evidence and that doesn't lead you to faith in God, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, the point is there has to be a movement of the heart as well. You have to want to believe in God. You have to want to believe in a loving God. You have to want to believe in the moral integrity that Jesus came to show us. In other words, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't want to believe in God because I don't want to be responsible to any kind of a moral authority outside of myself. Well, if you're saying that, I don't care. I could give you the evidence for the Shroud of Turin. I could bring you into Paolo di Lazzaro's lab and show you what these excimer ARF lasers are doing to show you what happened with this body, after, Jesus has been in the shroud, right? But you would never believe me. I mean, I could take you right on the scene where Jesus literally raises a young boy, but you'll find some reason, to get it. I could take you to Lourdes. I could take you through the entire index of noted and confirmed miracles by the Lourdes Medical Commission, and you'd look at it and go, those guys were biased or something. You'd find some reason why it isn't true. I could take you through all the near-death experiences you could possibly and correlate them to Christian revelation, and you'd find some reason. Now, there's a physical explanation out there. I just know if I could just get to that angular part of the parietal lobe and stimulate it, I'm sure I could produce something along the lines of a near-death experience, right? Somehow you'd find a reason if you didn't want to believe. If you didn't have any sense you were in darkness and you needed the God of light to pull you out of it, if you want to remain in the darkness, I'm not going to, wild horses, evidence not going to pull you in. You're going to find some reason to stay in the darkness. You're going to find some reason not to be responsible to a moral authority outside yourself. You're going to find some reason not to belong to a Christian community. Even though, look at everything that Christianity has done for the world. And what do we hear as the polemic from our adversaries? Christianity had the Crusades and they had the Inquisition and they didn't like Galileo. That proves it. They did more harm than good. This is such a revisionist view of history. You're practically sitting there doubled over in pain, listening to the ignorance of it and the elitism of it. Yet, there's no movement of the heart. And that's precisely what the problem is. All the evidence in the world can't, as there's, the rich man sitting there in Hades, and finally, he says, okay, just tell Lazarus to go to my brothers and give them the warning, and Abraham says, no, they had Moses and the prophets, that should be enough for them. And so, oh no, Father Abraham, if they had, say, somebody coming back from the dead, then they would believe. And they said, no, if you don't believe Moses and the prophets, you're not going to believe even if someone doesn't come back from the dead. Because the problem isn't the evidence. The problem isn't the intensity, the veracity of the evidence. There's plenty of confirmed evidence, highly efficacious evidence. It's not the problem. The problem is if you don't want to go, if you don't think you need healing, if you don't think you're in the darkness, and you got to be rescued from an evil darkness power greater than yourself, but God can rescue you from it. If you don't want to be responsible to a God outside yourself, don't worry. Wild horses won't drag you.